Hey guys, this is Miss Smith. I'm going to be going over the ideas of the Harlem Renaissance worksheet with you. So I'm going to read through this, so make sure you are following along and then we'll answer the question together. All right, it says the Harlem Renaissance was a major artistic and cultural movement in the 1920s and 1930s. It began in the Harlem neighborhood of New York City. During the Harlem Renaissance, many African American writers and artists produced important pieces of literature, music, drama, and art. An important idea behind the Harlem Renaissance was that African Americans refused to be considered less important than white Americans. They wanted to celebrate and share their African American culture. They wanted to push for civil and political rights. During the Harlem Renaissance, the American poet Langston Hughes wrote an important poem called Harlem. The poem famously begins with the line, "What happens to a dream deferred?" The poem is about the African American struggle for equality and freedom in the United States. Music was also important during the Harlem Renaissance. Jazz musicians like Duke Ellington, Ella Fitzgerald, and Billie Holiday rose to fame during this time. The music, books, plays, and thoughts of the Harlem Renaissance still inspire people to this day. All right, so our directions say fill in the graphic organizer with the main idea of the text, explain how the details you chose support your main idea. So to start out, I need to figure out what the main idea of this passage is. So what is it mostly about? What does it focus on? So I'm going to look back to that very first sentence. I'm going to highlight this because this sentence right here looks like a pretty good piece of information on what the main idea is. So I'm going to say the Harlem Renaissance was a major artistic and cultural movement. All right, so now to surround that, I need to find supporting details from the passage. So if I look back through the text, I see one other good sentence I want to use in that first paragraph. This part right here of that last sentence. So I'm going to write that as supporting detail number 1. So African Americans or African American writers and artists produced important literature, music, drama, and art. All right, so let's look for another sentence now to give us a detail to support our main idea. I think if I look in that second paragraph, another good piece of evidence I see to show us that it was a major artistic and cultural movement, this one right here. It says they wanted to celebrate and share their African American culture. So I'm going to add that for detail number 2. They wanted to celebrate and share their African American culture. All right, so let's find detail number 3. All right, if I look at, let's see, the third paragraph, when we were talking about Langston Hughes, that looks like a good example of a piece of supporting evidence or a detail from the text. All right, so it says, during the Harlem Renaissance, the American poet Langston Hughes wrote an important poem called Harlem. Okay, so I'm just going to shorten it and say Langston Hughes wrote an important poem called Harlem. All right, and then one more detail. Let's see. I'm going to choose this one right here. It says the music, books, plays, and thoughts of the Harlem Renaissance still inspire people to this day. So the music, books, plays, and thoughts of the Harlem Renaissance still inspire people to this day.